What's up, y'all? Alex Miller from the Eagle, joined always by the one, the only Robert Sesson. He's got a fresh cut today. Cease, happy Thanksgiving to you. What are you thankful for this year?
A lot of things. Number one, my family, God, my job,
Well,
and my dogs. Don't forget my dogs.
Hey.
Chester's watching, so make sure.
Chester's watching. He's about to catch you in the prog picks. But, hey, there's a lot of Aggies out there that are thankful to have an 11-0 football team. They'd be a lot more thankful if they get a 12-0 football team after Friday's game at Texas. Cease, just what's kind of the thought and feeling going into this one? We head to Austin on Black Friday.
I'm just glad the rivalry's back. I said that last year, and I know I said the same thing. I was on Chip Howard, and he meant the same thing. I saw guys, and I'm sure a lot of people, we lost 12 Lone Star showdowns. Nothing beats a rivalry. You can say all you want to about other games, going to Alabama. Everybody in the SEC is a big game, but in college football, rivalries, nothing beats a rivalry.
Well, hey,
as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough. A lot more than bragging rights on the line this week, too, as was the case in last year's game. Now, only one team has a chance to make the SEC championship game this year. That would be A&M. And but on the flip side, Texas is playing for its playoff hopes right now, if they even have any, possibly getting in at 9-3. So there's a lot to play for on both sides of the field this week.
Yeah, because once again first of all, I got the bragging rights. And bragging rights work obviously two ways, because A&M both of them had a chance to do something last year. Even though I thought Texas was in, if you go back and, I did go back and read and research last year. This time, I don't think Texas at 9-3. I think it'd be a little bit of a stretch.
They need a lot of chaos to happen, which it could. This has been a pretty chaotic year.
It's good, and they're not Alabama, and they haven't been in the SEC long enough. So that being said, beating A&M would be enough for them. We know that. I was there in '98 when A&M went over. Had the Big 12 already wrapped up. You talk about, why what goes around comes around sometimes. And of course, Texas won that game. And then I always remember the announcer saying, good luck to the Aggies as they go to the Big 12 championship game in Kansas City. And I'm saying to myself, no, they don't really mean that. It's like you say that, but that's a rivalry. So A&M's got a lot riding. And the more you have riding on it, the more your rival wants to prevent you from having it.
Well, and on one hand, it may not be a bad thing for A&M from a motivation standpoint, the fact that they don't have a spot in the SEC championship game locked up, because then, you have nothing guaranteed in front of you for next week. A&M's for sure probably going to be in the college football playoff. We all know that. But plenty to play for this week for sure. Cease, dive into the matchup now. Start with the A&M offense versus the Texas defense. A&M has been phenomenal on the road, scoring the ball, moving down the field, and Texas has been a little shaky on that side of the ball this last month once they've played some pretty decent offenses in conference play with Vanderbilt, Georgia, and Arkansas last week.
Well, I think it all goes back to A&M can run the ball. If you run the ball, they got the offensive line. Doesn't matter really who's carrying the ball. Yeah, they'd like to have Moss back. They hope Owens is healthy. But to me, it all goes back to the O-line. And you look, if you run the ball on the road, you can have success. Why did you go back to this game last year? Texas ran for almost, over 200 yards.
Wisner had so many yards.
190 by himself. He hadn't come close to that this year. You know why? Because Texas has a horrible offensive line. So A&M's going over there with 5 good offensive linemen. You run the football, then you're able to throw the football. And I will say, Texas defense is good enough in the past. They've done it before. They shut you down. And we've seen A&M shut down at times before, and kind of puzzling why they can't run the ball at times. So that being said, you got to give A&M the big check mark there for being able to run. Then all the explosive plays come into play just because you got to do it. So A&M's got to feel good going over there. And they also have a Heisman candidate at quarterback.
Le'Veon Moss is doubtful to play in Friday's game. Elko said on Monday that he didn't expect Le'Veon to be available as well. And even if he was available, it would kind of feel akin to what Reuben Owens' situation was last year in this game, where sure, he was available to play and he got a few carries, but it was very evident he was not 100%. It was not going to be a game-breaking X-factor player in that matchup. The good news for A&M, Reuben Owens is good to go. He wasn't even on the availability report last night, which shows that he should be playing. Mario Craver will be back, so that's good news for the Aggies. Both of them had dressed out last week, went through warm-ups, but didn't end up playing. And on top of that, Amari Daniels kind of got his feet wet. Look, it's Samford. You can't take a whole lot from that. But for a guy to have to sit on the shelf for several weeks in a row, then get maybe a few game reps going, not a bad thing for A&M to get their senior in there, especially with E.J. Smith didn't play last week. He wasn't on the availability report either, so he probably should be good to go this week. But you like all options available. On top of that, think about last year, how many times Texas stuffed A&M in short yardage situations. This offensive line's got to be pretty motivated to right some of those wrongs.
Yeah, you like to have a lot of options at running back, because here's the deal. They take a lot of hits over the years. And even though people aren't on availability reports, like, you don't know how close they are to 100%. Are they 89 or are they 95? And they're never going to tell you until the season's over. And that being said, it's nice to have options, because maybe they have some kind of hamstring or whatever, or a bruise, and then they get hit real hard, then it acts up. And like you said, Amari Daniels is a nice option to have, but they have lots of options. But to me, I'll go back to that offensive line. If they're able, we know if they can run, they also can protect Reed. And you look, Texas has given up some explosive plays in the passing game. And we know A&M's passing game is explosive, but I am concerned that Reed has come out the last two games too jacked up, missed some open receivers. You can't do that against Texas. You come out, you don't score in your first two possessions, you're going to give Texas a lot of momentum. And once again, he's got to handle not only the game situation, but his own situation. He knows he's up for the Heisman and things like that, and you got to be able to handle that.
Yeah, I think winning the turnover battle is going to be really critical in this game, at least to come out even, because, look, for all the great things Marcel Reed has done, he has been turnover prone, particularly in the road games. You go back to the Notre Dame game, A&M had an interception. Think about the LSU game when LSU had a little bit of momentum there in the second quarter. And then even looking at the South Carolina game when he had 3 turnovers in the first half alone. And then you go back to last year's game against Texas, made a very errant downfield throw that was intercepted inside the red zone, and then fumbled the ball on A&M's kind of last-ditch effort there in the fourth quarter. So protecting the football is paramount. Look, A&M's probably the better team in this matchup. They can't give things away to Texas. They're going to have to make Texas earn things to beat A&M. A&M can't beat itself. And like we've said many times this season, A&M's biggest enemy most of the time is itself.
Texas has forced 18 turnovers. They've done it in the best league. I know they haven't played not necessarily the best teams, but anytime you can do that, and I think they've had a turnover now in 22 straight home games. So they thrive on turnovers. And suddenly when you look in at, quote, a rivalry game, and everyone thinks it'll be a fourth quarter game, we'll see one possession could be the difference. So once again, as you like to think A&M's not had a lot of turnovers this year getting on defense. They're very good on defense, getting sacks, getting tackles for loss, but they're not good in turnovers. And you're absolutely correct. You got to look at the turnovers.
Got to look at the turnovers. Gonna go into the middle here with special teams as we kind of bridge the way on these matchups. Special teams might play a huge role in this game, given what Texas has at returner with Niblett back there.
Right.
A&M, of course, no slouch at all with Casey Concepcion and what he's able to do in the return game. And we've seen Terry Bussey break a few long kickoff returns as well. Big thing, though, what's A&M's kicker situation going to look like? Zirkle had a shaky start, came back and made a couple last week against Samford. Going to be curious if they stick with him, which I would guess they would. But just how do you kind of see special teams shaking out in a game that, look, the line's like 2.5. Come down to a kick, that's a big deal.
Here's my deal. The punters are a wash when you look at their deals. You look at the kickers, I'm going to make those a wash only because both teams are so good on special team preparation. They're not going to give Niblett or Concepcion a chance. I'd be shocked if either the other team screws up and gives them a chance. So it gets back to what you said, field goals. Their guy has missed like one under 50 yards. He's about 3 beyond 50. They got that transfer from Texas State. He's been money. A&M has been change. They've had so many misses. 11 for 18 for Bond after last year going 20 or 26. I think every Aggie would be down on their knees with rabbit feet and rosaries, whatever, if it came down to a 40-yard field goal for A&M to win the game or send it into overtime, just because they haven't been consistent enough. And that's a tough way to go on the road. And they've had 2 punts blocked, both on the road. And I guarantee you that A&M's worked hard to make sure that doesn't happen. I guarantee Jeff Banks, the special teams coach at Texas, one of the best. I know he's trying to find a kink. So don't go to the concession stand or don't go to your back to get another beer out of the refrigerator when it's lining up for the punt, because it could be special times. Special teams could be special times for somebody.
Yeah, I shameless plug too. Go to theeagle.com. Got to talk with Tyler White and his twin brother Jared last week just about how they've supported each other through the loss of their father earlier this year. Really heartfelt story. I appreciate their openness and willingness to tell that story with me and just kind of how they've supported one another these past few months. Great guys, great story, and glad that they're doing all right.
Yeah, great story. I read it yesterday, obviously doing editing or whatever, but it reminds all of us, sports reflects life. And we can talk about a rivalry, but a lot of kids out there. Think about all the families that represented when A&M plays Texas, and great families, Longhorns and Aggies. So remember, it's luckily what I like about A&M Texas rivalry in my time that I've been in. I'm a Pennsylvanian. It's a respected rivalry. When I go over and see Auburn and Alabama, I think that gets too personal at times. A lot of people go to the same churches here in this town that are Longhorns, Aggies, whatever. So it's kind of life and death laughing on Friday, but luckily it's not.
Well, rounding out kind of a little bit of a breakdown here, looking at A&M's defense against Texas' offense. Look, Arch Manning, he was the guy coming into the season, right? Everyone had all the high hopes and expectations for him. Might have been a little premature. He himself said he had a lot to prove, and, well, he's had quite a bit to prove. On the flip side, though, he's coming off his best performance of the season. And look, Arkansas might have the worst defense in the SEC. 6 touchdowns is 6 touchdowns. And A&M's been prone to give up big plays on defense this year. And so the Aggies are going to need to be their sharpest this week when they face that Texas offense.
Like I said, I can't wait for everything because I want to see how much Manning's improved. You always love what Elko does on defense. He calls plays. And then Sarkisian is considered one of the best play callers in college football. So you talk about, once again, you got to watch every play and dissect it. I mean, this is like going into a smorgasbord or all you can eat. I mean, it's amazing the plays we're going to see. And, Howell chasing down Manning. Oh, my gosh. Think about how many times that's going to happen Friday. And who do you give the key to? I like A&M's defense, but yet they've had their moments where Notre Dame scored a lot of points. Arkansas scored a lot of points. And why? Because they could throw the football, and they had the right play call at the right time against blitzes or whatever. And you leave in Arkansas ran the ball against A&M because A&M got that three-man line. And just so many subplots, which makes this game so exciting. I think A&M has a little bit of an edge. But we know if anybody named Manning comes out and gets hot, I think you got to be a little concerned.
I think it comes down to how much pressure can A&M get on Arch, because you go and you look at the numbers. When Arch is pressured and has to get rolled out of the pocket, he struggles. When he has time in the pocket, he's done pretty dang well. Gee, I wonder how that works out, right? But needless to say, A&M's probably going to throw the kitchen sink at him. What Texas needs to do, they need to do a good job on first and second down to give themselves manageable third down situations. A&M's got the best third down defense in the country. A lot of that's because of what they do on first and second down, putting their opponents in some precarious situations when Mike Elko, the mad scientist, dials up something that you're not ready for.
Aggies, you want to feel comfortable. Manning struggled mightily against Oklahoma and Georgia, and there's a reason for that because that's two very good defenses, and A&M is up there with them, if not better than them. So that is comforting because you know what? Defense also travels well, particularly when it's only 95 miles.
Particularly when it's only 95 miles. Hey, speaking of which, this is the closest road game A&M's played this season. Cease, good for us. We don't have to deal with the airport. Carter Carls doesn't have to deal with the airport. But my point being, Aggies have traveled really well this year. First game in Austin since 2010. I'm really curious what the A&M crowd's going to be like there, how many Aggies end up going. It looks like the whole Corps of Cadets is going to be going. They're going to march through downtown on Friday afternoon. You look at the ticket prices right now, they're dipping a little, but they're still over $350 get-in price. Just, you got any pulse on what it might look like just from your experiences going over to Austin, what Maroon crowds have been like there before?
I think it'll be a great crowd because Aggies will pay to win, especially Texas. And Texas right now, as you mentioned, not playing for a lot. And A&M hasn't been over since 2010, which was a win. There'll be a lot of room. Now, you got a 100,000 seat stadium now. Let's be honest. If A&M has 10 or 15, that's a lot of you're paying a lot of money to get those seats. But I do expect to seat like at least 10,000 people because Aggies got money. They'll pay for that.
Well, hey, you put your pick in the paper today. What was maybe the final determining factors and what your pick was?
I think offenses are going to be a lot of plays. I just think that when you're jacked up like that, someone might miss a tackle, someone might make a big play. So I went high. I went 34-30. I just think both teams have a lot of playmakers. Both teams have a lot of great defenses, but everybody's going to go out there like this play might determine the game. And once again, I always give the offense. They got great receivers too. And A&M's been burned a few times. Just too many skill. When the receiver knows where he's going and the quarterback's throwing him, we've seen Reed throw some balls on the money, and I've seen Manning throw some balls on the money. And you do 4 of those, that's 3-4 scores. I just think I think the weather's going to be nice. I just think, and I might be wrong. Usually, go ahead and bet the under then. But I'm betting 30. I'm not betting a cent. I'm betting 30. I'm saying 34-30. What about you?
I'm picking A&M. I picked A&M the paper. Give me the Aggies 31-27. I know A&M's scored a lot on the road. The lowest scoring total has been 38. In a rivalry game, a little bit of colder weather, high stakes. Going to be a little bit more of a grind fest. I think last year we thought that it might be a little more high scoring than it was at 17-7.
We had that one right, 17-7. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't expect it to be in the 50s, but
no.
I think we all expected it to be about maybe 24-20,
high 20s,
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me the Aggies. Look, this is A&M's game to win, and so lot to prove.
A&M's a better team.
Lot to prove, and if A&M gets the job done, it's going to be a hot time in Austin on Friday night.
6th Street will be maroonish.
6th Street will be maroonish. Hey, we'll be there Friday night at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. That's a lot of words, Cease. Kyle Field's a little shorter, but
you can probably have that pretty soon for the right price.
Be sure to check theeagle.com for all of our coverage on the Aggies versus Longhorns, and we'll be back next week, maybe talking SEC championship, probably talking college football playoff. We'll see you then.